Good evening and welcome back to the Dwarven Fortress of Keskalokil, where I have accidentally ended up inventing railway signalling systems. So last session we produced a phenomenal number of although I found a pile of useful objects there. I should unforbid those. Last session we finished constructing our that's what I meant, yes, our new signalling system, and then discovered, as I had expected, because I'd kind of worked this out in advance, it didn't quite work properly. I've since discovered another way in which I think it doesn't quite work properly, that I want to test, and then I have plans for fixing it. Some of these plans are on the web page that I've linked in the video description, where I have tried to explain what the problem is as well, and try to draw diagrams, which is quite a tedious business in the Dwarf Fortress wiki. I mean, not as tedious as it could be. So what did we have? And oh yes, one interesting thing that you may have noticed when I was just unforbidding those objects is that we have a new version of Dwarf Fortress. This is Dwarf Fortress 51.05, and the visible new thing is that it tells you how big the rectangle is that you're drawing. Don't know why this is a very useful feature, but there it is. Also, there are a bunch of things in the release notes saying we're finally going to do all these interesting things about invasions, which might be interesting, including like maybe actually having invading forces able to knock down walls. Though at the moment our approach to invading forces is we don't bother having walls, we just run out and hug them before they can get close to anything that actually is part of the fortress. So on which subject I did discover a setting. In here there was it in here? Oh no, it was under difficulty. There was an enemies off normal hard difficulty. And I wonder if, given how easy the goblins appear to be at the moment, we should turn up the enemy difficulty to hard. Just so that we get some bigger armies or something, or more frequent goblin invasions. I believe the economy appears to mostly cause the mayor and king and so forth to issue more frequent mandates and demands, and that's just dull. Like we can fulfil all of those, they're just tedious to fulfil, and we end up with far too many querns. So I'm going to leave that where it is, but I'm going to turn the enemy's difficulty up to hard in the spirit of optimism. So, the problem we had last time was that when we sent a minecart around our loops, around the loop of track, all of the track circuits would appear occupied afterwards. So these 5 flip-flops represent the 5 segments of track in the southern loop, actually. And we can see that all of them have 7/7 water in them, meaning that the system thinks that those segments are occupied. This means that all of the reversing rollers are active, which means that no trains can go anywhere until we reset the signals. This is obviously a problem, but I have an idea of how to solve it. So what I need to do first, and which I can leave happening while I talk about things, is to find the lever to drain the swimming pool, which obviously is hiding. Get that pulled so that we can get the water out again and start fixing things. In the meantime, we should also remove the minecart from both dwarf washers. So as to ensure that they don't run people down while we're working on this. Right, and there goes the water. So the problem is essentially that these flip-flops don't take well to having their both of their inputs active at the same time. In particular, if you activate both the set and reset inputs, the flip-flop goes into the set state, which is kind of good because it means that the track circuit shows as occupied, but it will stay set no matter what order you release the inputs in. So in particular, that means that in the case we've got, where we generally trigger the set input when a minecart enters a block and the reset input when it leaves the block, if those two inputs overlap because the minecart was too quick between them, the flip-flop ends up set when we wanted it to be reset. I can think of 3 ways to fix this, and we're going to do all of them. Because I can't write this up. The reason I tested this last time was because I couldn't say there is a problem unless I'd actually demonstrated there is a problem. Now I've got 3 ways to fix it. Obviously, I need to test all 3 ways. So we're going to test all 3 ways. First, though, I actually want to check something else, which is I think I have screwed up the power supply to these 2 signals here. Because I've got 2 vertical axles which run up to underneath this windmill. And you might hope that a windmill which can supply power on all 12 orthogonally adjacent squares to its 3x3 footprint horizontally would also supply power vertically downwards through to all 9 squares below it. But the wiki says that it doesn't, and actually it only supplies power to the square directly below it. Now this may be a little difficult to test. I think what we should do is those are signals S1 and N1. So if we empty S1 and N1, actually, of course, in general, we should pull each of these levers twice in succession, so that because we essentially want to clear the track circuit, but immediately put the lever back so that we don't hold the input asserted forever. I think we might find that we don't have both of these axles powered when that happens. So currently both of those axles are powered. Indeed, I think there's a small chance that they will just collapse when we pull both of those levers. But that will take a little while because someone has to come out here and pull the levers. And so we're going to need to slightly adjust the mechanics of that. Right, we have most of the water drained. So there we can see one of the flip-flops being flipped and flopped again. And there's the other one being flipped and flopped again. So then in 100 ticks, those should become inactive. And that axle there is still operating. And that axle there is not operating, and that's not as it should be, because that indicates that this axle was only being powered through the 2 gear assemblies at the bottom. And thus that if in particular we try to fill S1 now, we will find that doesn't actually reactivate that roller. And that would be bad because that will be a signal that doesn't go red when we want it to go red. So we'll have to fix that. So about these solutions then. Our problem is that essentially a minecart is taking fewer than 100 ticks, which is the amount of time that passes when I press dot once, of which we're currently running at about 24 per second. I don't believe that. Yes, thank you. We're running at about 17 per second. A minecart takes fewer than 100 ticks to go from the entrance to a block to its exit, and so both the block entrance and exit pressure plates are active simultaneously. And so the block shows as occupied when it shouldn't. Right, so we can now see that S1 is now full again, but the S1 rollers are not active. This is a problem. Right, good. So yes, the problem was that our minecarts were spending less than 100 ticks going between pressure plates, and one obvious solution to that is slow the minecarts down until they do take more than 100 ticks. This is slightly tricky though, because we're operating in water here, so there's quite a lot of friction, and it's a fairly fine balance between slowing the minecarts down enough that they will take over 100 ticks to pass through the block, and slowing the minecarts down so much that they will stop in the mid-block due to friction with the water, thus causing unhappiness. So I have created a spreadsheet which attempts to implement what the wiki says is the physics behind minecarts, and fiddled with the numbers and measured the distances between my pressure plates. And I think that fairly solidly, if I set the rollers to a speed of 4 rather than 5, the minecarts will take more than 100 ticks to pass through the long horizontal blocks. And yeah, someone's found a dead chicken. Oh, some tributers arrived. It's spring, which is why the tributers arrived. Lots of people have changed jobs. Someone has grown up. Curiously, they became a doctor, because if you just hang around in this fortress, you end up being a doctor. So even as soon as they're 18, they become doctors.
Is this any of the really disturbing children that we had earlier? Or
I don't know. I've already, I'm afraid, dismissed it. So, where was I? Oh, yes. Yes, for the two long straight blocks, which will be a bit easier to see once more of the water's drained, but the one running from, which direction do these go in? They go that way and then that way, I think. The one running from that signal to that signal, and the one running from that signal to that signal, and the other two, and the two on the southern as well. It looks like with quite a bit of slack in either direction, a speed of 4 on the rollers will do a nice job. I am not so sure about the other 3 blocks of each loop, and so I'm going to use different techniques for those. But let's deal with those rollers first. So that basically means that the propulsive rollers, the ones that push forwards, need to be changed for slightly slower ones. And we need to do that for... I'm actually slightly tempted just to do it for every roller in the system, because it's not going to be a problem if everything's a bit slow. A bit slower. And the other blocks are all shorter, so a speed of 4 definitely won't be too slow. For the loops around the end, my rough sums suggested that you might just be able to get away with a speed of 3, but this did depend on getting the water levels just right, and it depended on all my sums being pretty close to correct, because you were within 1 square of the minecart running out of velocity entirely, and not very much better than that within of accidentally triggering the 2 pressure plates too fast. So I don't think I have another technique for those ones. So, but still, we may as well, let's just demolish every roller, every forward roller, which means all the ones that are directly in line, all the early installed ones that are directly in line with the gear assemblies, and then we'll build slightly slower rollers in their place. So that's a nice easy thing to schedule. That's those 4. Sadly, as we'll discover why it's sad in a bit, rollers don't take an amount of power that's in any way related to their speed. So these will still draw just as much power as the old ones did. So so that's the first plan, and that's a nice simple plan. The second plan is slightly more complicated, and involves a trick that I'm currently calling approach locking, because it kind of looks like the approach locking on the real railway, though it's for a slightly different purpose. So the idea there is that rather than... Oh, it's a vile force of darkness. Yes, I did just increase the vile forces of darkness.
You got your vile force of darkness.
They're mostly... let's see what they're equipped with. I mean, they've managed some iron, but they're still fairly soft. Oh, what, on me on IRC?
Yes.
Oh, that's weird. Well, anyway, I should continue wittering anyway. So, well, there I am back again in another window. Yes, apparently I lost 20 minutes of IRC traffic. I hope it wasn't interesting. If there was anything there that was addressed to me, then someone can tell me.
No, I don't think there was any.
Right. So, yes,
Said bonk during the song.
right.
You might have missed that. There was, when you received some tribute, Pinkleaf asked, does it consist of 3 bits of string in a cage?
Let's have a look at what we won.
Asked if it was a dead chicken.
Right. Thank you.
And Jacob then said it was a vile force of darkness, everyone. Applause. There you are, that's everything.
It's spring 111, isn't it? Yes, we don't seem to have a report on. As far as I can tell, the tribute is invisible. We don't have a tribute report for it. So I'm not sure it turned up at all. Right. The failed dungeons wishes to parley in order to avert loss of life. Well, we'll do it because, like, it helps us to get our army in vaguely organised state. So we'll ask the non-amphibious ones to head over there. And the amphibious ones to head over here. And meanwhile, the mayor or the king or whomever can go out and talk to the goblins. Oh, except that if it's the king is, I think, also a member of the military. So, yes. So my plan for the minecarts is that we arrange that if a minecart reaches the exit signal from a block before the entrance pressure plate has released, then that signal should be held at red until the entrance pressure plate releases, which we can do fairly simply just by adding an extra gear assembly to supply that signal. So, like, I think this will all be fairly simple. I could turn out to be wrong. Right, we can see that bits are being dismantled in there. That's good. That's quite a big force of darkness.
That is a lot of goggles.
I mean,
What are the bees? Is that something else?
beak dogs? Yes. I mean, I think it's still smaller than my army and less well equipped than my army. Like, they're mostly in leather armour, which doesn't stand up very well against steel axes.
How many crossbows?
Not many. Those would be green. And that's an ordinary bow. They've only got like 5 or 6 crossbowmen. Or
They don't have many range weapons. You could stand on the other side of the river and pull faces and see
Well, I mean, that's kind of what we want to do. We'll do it up in the delta. And then if they get past that, we have another fight with them over here. Just occurs to me, that farm plot has not been used for anything forever. Let's demolish that farm plot. Maybe we shouldn't be demolishing the farm plot while there are incoming goblins. Yeah, okay. So yes, we'll see what they want, but like right now, our tribute is being unloaded now. It just took a little while. Oh, that's a little bit better. Like there's some clothes in there. None of it's much good, but I'm pleased that they've offered us cheese as well. Yes, yes. Best tribute is cheese. So let's just have a quick look at. So yeah, they've brought 3 crossbowmen and 4 crossbowmen, sorry, and 4 bowmen. So yes, that is quite a large army. I don't think it's an implausible one to fight off, given that it's under-equipped and probably under-trained. So yes, we'll see what our negotiations suggest. Like maybe they're here for something so trivial we can send them away, but not least because it's going to take a lot of time to clean up all that many dead goblins, he says, noticing a dead goblin. Let's remember that dead goblin's there. We won't send someone out to fetch it right now. Right, so meanwhile, we've almost finished demolishing the old rollers. So then we can set them up again at the correct speed. Unfortunately, people are carefully filing all of the spare chains from them, so they're going to end up in the wrong places, and that's a mess. So let's check if they've all been removed. Slightly confused why we've got salt water here. Track. Right, they've all been removed, so we can at least start. Jutton has started writing me a to-do list. So the general approach is that mine carts go. Which way do they go? They go left. Leftwards in the middle lane and rightwards in the outside lane, don't they? Yes. That matches what we currently have. So we may as well just use closest material. So we set them to speed 4. So we want a leftward speed 4 roller there. and keep building. A rightward speed 4 roller there, and a leftward speed 4 roller there, and a rightward speed 4 roller there. So going up this one, it goes right, left, left, right. Then going up this one, right, left, left, right. Not right, because we're out of chains. Because all the chains are currently in transit to wherever they're being stored. Right, here comes the mayor, who is apparently the one who gets sent out to parley. He's trying to find the leader of the goblins in this enormous crowd. He's still having difficulty with that.
Yeah, it's going to take a while.
Justin says, are those migrants? Don't think so.
No, they're mine.
I think we'd have a message about them if they were. I mean, we get dwarves wandering around harvesting plants, even in the middle of an alleged siege. Twisted, tested, no it isn't, we made that. Pretty sure. They will happily give the poor mayor a chance to escape before they actually come and stomp on us. Well, try to stomp on us. We'll see how well they do. Yeah, there goes the mayor. I can't remember, but it was an artifact of some sort. There, yes. Treasure of the Treaty of Caves.
I mean, if it menaces with spikes and anything, then surely it's dwarven artifactory, and the goblins are clearly lying if they claim to own it.
Yes. Slightly concerned that there only appear to be about 10 amphibious dwarves kicking around. I think we should release the livestock, just because otherwise they're going to get in the way. Oh yes, you asked, is it the no, I don't think that is the king's sceptre, but maybe I'm confused. I can't remember if I gave the king a sceptre. Now the king has a crown called clam melted. I mean, we could make it the king's sceptre. It does seem a little weird if the king doesn't have a sceptre. No, the king has a sceptre, and it's Nikathlalluth. What's that? Where is it? I mean, the king has a sceptre, but I can't see it in my list. It's possible, but that would be weird. Like, we've never had a shortage of artefact sceptres in this place. No. I don't think we have it, if it is a sceptre. Maybe it's not a sceptre. Oh no, sceptre, it was a slash, wasn't it? Which is a weapon, not a hyphen. Yes, it's a slash, it's some kind of a weapon. That would be a sceptre, a hyphen. Can I search for it by name? No, that would be too easy. Well, I don't know what it is. But maybe he doesn't have a sceptre, and maybe we should give him a sceptre.
After the goblins have been defeated, it will be not only a sceptre, but a symbol of victory over...
Yes, it's true. Right, has the mayor got back? Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, okay, those squads are still a bit on the small side. Well, that's okay. The aim is that half the dwarves will fall into the river, while actually the dwarves will fall into the river and survive. The goblins will fall into the river and drown, and then the remaining goblins will come back and be squished by the second batch of dwarves. So let's bring the second batch of dwarves up a little bit to about there, and the amphibious dwarves to there, and then I think we wait for the goblins to pick their moment. Meanwhile, let's just do... Oh, one of those axles has just collapsed, it looks like. And so has the... How did that take so long? What was going on there? So has the windmill that powered it. Which is kind of weird, but not wholly surprising. So what do we want? If we're going to have a windmill that powers those in a sensible way, the windmill probably wants to have a solid floor that it can sit on. So I think we should, and it wants to be ideally adjacent to these two squares. So I think we should actually build an extended floor over here. To support a windmill. Right. This is the kind of point where I think that I should just have a ballista or two somewhere over here that just pours, since the goblins always arrive in the same place.
What would happen if you seeded that area with traps, and a bunch of them fell in before they completed their parley? Would they immediately lose their tempers?
I would assume so.
That was a good juxtaposition of messages. The child is throwing a tantrum and the king has given an order.
Yes.
They're very similar.
Querns, 1 quern, 2 crowns and 3 chains. I think we can let crowns happen on their own. I think they should happen if we have any beeswax.
Ah, of course, you're allowed to make these things out of beeswax, doesn't matter.
Yes. You can't make querns out of beeswax, that really wouldn't work. Or indeed chains. Okay, yes, we may have to do the Frog of War. I'm going to need to train more dwarves in swimming. Happily, I'm improving the swimming training system. On which subject, have we got any more chains available yet? So they go right, left, left, right. Build, machines, rollers, speed 4, right. Oh, hang on, I have to click twice, don't I? Yes. Speed 4, right, there. Speed 4, left, there. Speed 4, left, there. Speed 4, right, there. Okay, so that should at least ensure that we don't send things too quickly. So that should fix the 2 long sections in the middle. I'll leave that to be built while I pay some attention to the goblins. Are they doing anything? Oh, I think they may be starting to move.
Arguing about who should go in front.
Yes.
Yes, that looks like a general upward.
The beak dogs seem to be slightly keener than the goblins. Down to 14 frames per second, probably because of all these goblins. Actually, what we should do is seed this area with weapon traps, so that when the goblins pass through, they dodge the weapon traps into the river. Jutton suggests that that the reason why the beak dogs are so keen is because we don't have beak dog skulls on pedestals. It's true, we turn beak dog skulls into totems and then sell them to the passing trade caravans. The military dwarves are getting restless. See, everyone gets uneasy about seeing their dead companions, and then the dwarves and the goblins leap at one another. We can see quite a bit of spray where people have fallen into the water. Let's bring the non-amphibious squads closer, but not so close that they're going to fall into the sea. Oops.
Out of range of sudden enthusiasm.
Oh dear, someone has actually managed to get killed. But like you can see, there's a lot of spray here.
The number of goblins seems dropping vigorously. I know there are still a few coming up from the south of the screen.
I'm slightly concerned that this lot are going to run forwards too much. I think I'm going to instruct the... Do I instruct this lot to fall back, or do I hope that the that they are getting through the goblins fast enough that they won't all die? Let's be slightly optimistic, but if we get another, I was going to say, if we get another death, yes, let's withdraw the, let's try to withdraw. They're probably not going to do what I tell them to. You lot, withdraw. No, see, they're not going to do what I tell them to, but I don't want all of my non-amphibious dwarves drowning. Maybe that we end up losing rather a lot of our amphibious dwarves because they won't run away. 4 have gone. We're going to have to investigate the combat logs after this, aren't we? We really need the goblins now to come past into this nice open space where we can slaughter the rest of them. Because I don't really want to drown all of my nice non-swimming military dwarves. Either that, or I suppose I need to send the non-swimming military dwarves through there fast. So that they like come out the other side without drowning. But no, there are too many goblins still on the surface there, I'm afraid. Would be really good if you guys could withdraw. I mean, I suppose I can have them stand down, but yeah, let's try that. Cancel their orders. If we're lucky, that will cause them to run away. If we're not, it will just cause... No, it doesn't seem to be helping. Right. Some dwarves are just heading in there anyway, which is liable to cause some deaths by drowning. Like quite a lot of the amphibious dwarves are currently in the river, with a very large number of dead goblins, it must be said. Oh, we have a new king, possibly because our old king has died. I'm not sure.
I lose track. The orbs of yore is what, your civilization?
I think so, yes. That's certainly the thing that should have a king.
Yeah.
So what are the numbers looking like now? We do still have a fairly decent number of invaders, many of whom are not drowning. I think they're mostly on the far side of the river now. Are they? What are their... there are still a decent number who are... melee fighters. Right, let's take that lot and just have them, as far as possible, charge straight through the goblins. Ideally without dodging into the river, please. Right, how are the numbers looking now? That's much better.
I like the way the list is ordered, so you have a bunch of goblin invaders, take a break from sea otters, and then back to invaders.
Yes. We seem to be mostly doing well at not... Oh dear, there's a drowning dwarf. There are 3 drowning dwarves. Oh no, strictly that's 2 drowning dwarves and 1 undrowning dwarf. Because the undrowning dwarf knows how to swim. Yeah, this is... We need better swimming training, certainly. I mean, I think we'll be okay. Let's just have everyone try to get here. Oh gods, they're all jumping over the river. Don't do that. Right, I'm going to do something silly. I think we have more dwarves drowning than we have goblins drowning now. So I am going to attempt to open some of the river drains. Indeed, possibly all of the river drains. In the hope of saving some of the unfortunate drowning dwarves. So it's possible this will cause some entertaining flooding, but it's also possible it will save some lives. It will probably suck lots of people down into the drainage system, but we do have filters in the drainage system to try to get them out again, so like it might work. That quite a lot of the dwarves have now made it across the river and are busy mincing whatever they can find on the far side. So that's good. Now, please can someone open those drains? Like now would be really good. 2 drowned. 3 drowned. Open the drains. Right, good. We've got some drains going. This might help some drowning dwarves to escape. 4, 5, 6. Now just checking any of the gullies to see if they've caught any dwarves who actually managed to survive falling in the river. Sadly, I fear if this, oh right, yes, this is lowering the water level. So this dwarf, while admittedly having to learn to swim quite quickly, might actually get out. Right, they've fallen down into that hole. Is that the only drowning dwarf we've got? That's a bit of an embarrassment, really. I mean, they're not drowning at the moment. Right, I can't see anyone else alive in the river. So I'm going to shut off drain C, so that that poor dwarf... Actually, that poor dwarf can probably get out if we just unlock that door. Oh, it already is unlocked. Right. Probably if they can recover from their surprise at being there. Now, let's turn off drain C just to be on the safe side. I'm a little bit worried that they're now going to get pummeled in the head by all the objects falling in. Indeed. Yes, they now have the slight problem that that all of the other objects in the river are falling onto their head as they are stuck on the grating in the drainage system. So that was drain D, wasn't it? Drain C. Let's find the lever for drain C. Usual problem that even a high priority lever takes slightly too long to get pulled. And meanwhile, the axe dwarf is being is being bruised by other dwarves' limbs landing on their head.
But he's also seeing the bright side because something in there qualified as a waterfall.
Oh yes, well they are in a waterfall. It's true. Oh, there's someone made it into that one as well. Didn't even know you'd fallen into the river. Still, also getting stuff dropped on their head. So let's shut that one off temporarily. Oops. That's there, which is drain E. An elven caravan has arrived. They're probably not going to be very happy with us. They might not be very happy at the sheer quantity of dead beak dogs littering the place. I think we're going to need some more burial places, aren't we? Right, so Are there any invaders left alive? The siege annotation has gone, but that is not, doesn't mean they've all gone. That, on the other hand, does mean they've all gone. Right, the oh dear. Or have they just... No, they can't have managed to escape. That makes me fear that one of the people we saved then got beaten to death by objects falling on their head. But I can't remember any of the names. I'll have to look them up. That door was passable, so they may actually have got out of that one. Right, so drowning is still a serious problem. But it's a serious problem for the goblins too. Yes, we have lost like 20 population in that battle, which was not a good quantity of population to lose.
Especially since they were the militarily competent ones and now you have to hastily train a ton more.
Yes. Right, so let us release all of the military types. And close any remaining open drains. The drain interconnections are meant to stay open. And East River Drain A is still right. Now we have a phenomenal number of beak dogs to butcher, and an even more phenomenal number of dead to bury and other dead to dispose of by other means. So yes, we're going to need all the caskets. Need at least 20 new caskets. worry about what doors we're installing. Well, that's a start made on more burial arrangements. Oh yes, I was going to mark that for... I think we may actually have some planted rhubarb here or something. Yes, we are attempting to grow rhubarb, but no, I don't think we need it. Let's remove that farm plot. It's getting in the way. Actually, those look like dwarven names, so those will probably have somewhere to be buried in due course. I think we should just do a bulk reclaim of everything on the surface in that area. There's nothing up there that should be forbidden. Already marked that one for dumping. And then, well, I think we can clean up the goblins later. Oh, we should probably see if there's anything we can sell to the elves without offending them. Hint, there probably isn't.
Oh yeah, but they're going to get incredibly annoyed with all your trees.
Probably. We haven't seen any diplomacy yet, so like maybe not. But also, we probably haven't made very much that we can sell to them. Like, our problem at the moment is that we aren't actually producing very much. This is not much of a problem. We have everything we need. There's a couple of worn socks in that enormous bin full of stuff. But hang on, weren't they wool? Which will annoy them. We think they're okay with goods from hives. And so honey and beeswax. That looks like it's a bin full of new socks. We possibly have too many socks. Similarly, that is all new socks. I presume they don't, maybe they don't mind wool actually, because like that's usually removed without killing the creature. No, that's not the thing we care about. Blah, blah, blah. That's probably uninteresting. We're planning to melt all of those. It's more. Oh, that's got quite a lot of worn out clothes. We might be able to do something with that if we're careful. Probably we should like trade things in a careful order, trading the things that look safest first. Like bill and jugs full of royal jelly and beeswax amulets. They're going to get a very odd idea about what this fortress is all about, but I mean, okay, maybe not that odd actually.
Your two major outputs are royal jelly and doctors.
True.
You can't sell doctors to the elves, so they're going to walk away with all the royal jelly and go, what?
Yes, yes. It is true that the main things we make are royal jelly and doctors, so. And bill and jugs for putting the royal jelly in.
Oh yes, otherwise it will sploot all over the floor. Justin says, "That's mechanisms."
We've got quite a lot of mechanisms, yes, it's true. Though I think troll fur is probably not acceptable. Right, so about this approach locking. So what we want to do is let's do it for the end block first. So we've got a block that runs from there from there, and specifically from that pressure plate around to that pressure plate. So what we want to do is to ensure that this gear assembly, which is hard to see because it's still slightly wet, is activated whenever this pressure plate is activated. This roller is operated when this pressure plate is activated, which we need to do by adding a second gear assembly, because gear assemblies basically toggle whenever their input changes state, and wiring two inputs to one is an excellent way to get yourself extremely confused. So that I think means that we want to put a gear assembly. What we can do though is we can power the other gear assembly off the roller that goes in the other direction, that's conveniently next to it. So we can perfectly well just put gear assemblies onto the track and then build horizontal axles to connect them up to the, oops, that one's a vertical, that one's a north-south horizontal axle, that's not what I meant. Really would be good if it didn't reset all the settings each time. Right. And then we can hook those up to the entry thing. Right, we now have somewhere to build up here a windmill. So we can do that. Then we build, I think, a vertical axle here, where we used to have a vertical axle. Except we don't have anything to attach it to, because we're going to need to start by building the windmill and then work downwards. Partly because those gear assemblies are disconnected, which, like, we could have connected them, but whatever. Is that an elven diplomat? Yes, right. The elven diplomat is on the way. I think we are now going to be told off. Meanwhile, a bunch of dwarves are now going out to pick up all goblinite. Yes, an elven diplomat has arrived. A couple of cats have grown up. No one is doing any mining, which is a bit annoying because we need more catacombs. Yes. So I also want to set up approach locking on one more. Yes, this tiny little block here, which is like only a few squares long, and the equivalent up there, is also going to need approach locking. So for that we want to put similarly a gear assembly there, and then a horizontal axle connecting each of those gear assemblies to the adjacent roller. This would all be a lot easier to see if we could clear the water out more thoroughly, but basically once you've got water levels down to one, you can't really drain them anymore. Right, a child has claimed our crafts dwarf's workshop and is going to do something with it. That looks like a all right, that's not a dead Monera, that's a mussel. Those all look like goblin names. So let's get those disposed of. No, not the limonite, the tooth. Right, let's see what they have to say. Greetings from the woodlands. We have much to discuss. Whatever possessed you to brave these wilds where our animal friends are even larger than your kind than usual, we do not know, but know that this land is sacred to us, these trees more than any others. We're a long way from your home, really. Stop complaining about these trees. Although we are loath to spare a single branch to your senseless slaughter, we are willing to ask that you cap your tree fells at 1 until we next meet. No, we cannot sacrifice our roller coasters to your trees. They have updated our civilization knowledge, though possibly not very helpfully.
They just said, oh, okay then.
Well, I mean, they've given us a load of facts about people milling around down in the south, it looks like.
When you said no, we reject your demand, they didn't say, well, this means war. Or...
No, because I think they'll do that by sending an army. But it'll be an elven army, so they'll probably be equipped with sticks. Ethically harvested sticks.
Yeah, but you did just turn the difficulty up. There might be a lot of them with a lot of sticks.
Yes.
And you don't currently have a...
And my army is a little on the feeble side at the moment because slightly too much of it got minced by goblins and or drowned recently.
Anyway, see you tomorrow.
See you.
Bye.
So we're fairly confident that one thing we can sell is things based on bees. Why would we want a vast quantity of date palm flower stalks? I mean, the thing is, we are amazingly well off for food. We've got 4,700 food, and they've only brought food with them. I mean, like, I'm tempted by the wide variety of different fruits that they've got. Which we tried to last time, but we made a mess of it. The fruits will probably keep, won't they? And we could also buy, like, a load of nuts. But it's not like we have a shortage of nuts. The weird selection of date palm flower stalks, though, we will not buy. Right, we probably can't afford all of that, which is for the best because we probably don't want all of it. But let's see how much rubbish we can palm off on the elves without them complaining. Don't sell them the buzzard skull. Let's start with just selling them things made of beeswax. Oh, we don't apparently have a ban on selling crowns at the moment. Oh, probably because we've got a new king, of course. Because I think the last one just drowned, or otherwise died. Probably didn't drown because he was quite good at swimming. Some of these are decorated. I might want to be a bit careful about decorated items actually, because I can't easily check what decoration they've got. I'll go through the list again and make sure I haven't selected any decorated beeswax items. So the decorations are marked by the little guillemets. Looks like I may have accidentally only accidentally selected one of them. Right, so we can't get everything for that. Maybe we can make some olive oil soap. That would be quite neat. Some of these are fruits we grow locally anyway, but it's going to turn out I've offended them somehow, isn't it? They have brought an awful lot of fruit with them. They're also willing to accept quite a small profit margin. Ah, we successfully traded with the elves. Churton says, decorated with bands of delicious bacon. Yes, this is the danger. So now let's see if we can sell them bill and jugs full of royal jelly. And not just because we want to get rid of all of our bill and jugs full of royal jelly. I think that's all of them. That's pretty decent value, actually. Still don't want your date palm flower stalks. Why would we want date palm flower stalks? Oops. So you aren't quite willing to sell me absolutely everything you've brought with you for what we've got left, but yes, I am insisting on removing them from the bottom of the list, which is completely silly. It really doesn't matter which ones I don't buy. Right, they're willing to buy royal jelly. Plant-based clothes. So pigtails, despite the name, are not made from pigs. So you're going to say out that's all I've got. 2 socks. 3 socks. So I'm picking plant-based worn clothing. Which is mostly pigtail, but could also be rope reed. Possibly rammy. Rammy's probably a plant, isn't it? I do this quicker by typing pigtail into the search. Not apparently, no. It doesn't look like it makes any difference. How inconvenient. This is not all socks. Right. Let's see what we can get for that. We don't want to buy back any of the stuff we've already sold them. Right, we can now buy all their remaining fruit. I mean, we're probably selling them too much, but that's fine. Right, they're also happy with plant-based clothes, as we expect. So, I think that was some successful trading with the elves. Which is nice. Right. So we still haven't quite got that windmill. Oh, there's the windmill set up. So then we can connect a couple of gear assemblies to it. And then we can connect an axle to those. And slightly wonder why that axle is still standing. We are trying to butcher the beak dogs. Good. Where are my miners? Do I actually have any miners? Have they accidentally all drowned? No, look. We have 5 people allocated to mining. None of them appears to be actually working on expanding the catacombs. This is very unhelpful. It's still a bit short of coffins. Unfortunately, something is rotting in the kitchen area. Can I work out what? I actually have a terrifying booze surplus. Right, that's the cheese stockpile, is it? Yes, that's the backup booze stockpile, which is full. Which means that we now have. Let's enlarge the backup booze stockpile. Right, so now what we need to do, we've got all of the gear assemblies that are meant to be Oh, I should unlock these floor hatches, at least some of them. We've got all of the gear assemblies that are going to be used for approach control. So now I want to build a lever to toggle all of them, because like all the other gear assemblies, they're going to be backwards. We need them to, because naturally a gear assembly starts off connected, and then when it receives its first filling signal, it will, or an activation signal, it will disconnect. But we want this to be connected when the input is active, so we need to toggle all of the gear assemblies now. Also, we need to enlarge the minecart stockpile, because we've got a spare minecart that doesn't have a home. Finally, some miners are coming to do some mining. Still something rotting in here and I can't find it. Can I create a stockpile for goblin parts? At least in theory I can. Probably an argument I shouldn't put it here though. Did I try this once before? You know, you're saying there's no such thing as a terrifying booze surplus. You know, I just doubled the size of the backup booze stockpile, and the way it's now full. Let's make it even bigger. Because the still has quite a lot of barrels of booze in it. Okay, right, we also need, in addition to 25 new caskets, 25 wooden doors. We are butchering beak dogs as fast as we can, which may not be a wise move in terms of rotting things. Cannot work out where this miasma's coming from. Presume you don't get it from rotting eggs in nest boxes. And it seems to be somewhere around here. Which is weird because that's an area full of nest boxes and not much else. You're a halfway decent carpenter. Yes, okay, that's fine then. Because there is a lot of carpentry to be done. Right, that's miasma spreading down the stairs. Aha! We have found a rotting hen corpse. So that's that lever set up. So we now want to link that lever to each of the 4 approach control gears. Right, so a problem we now have is that with all of those connected up, the windmills that power them are possibly overloaded. At least they would be if all of the signals were engaged. Actually, let me test that. So the new gear assemblies that have been put in are currently all engaged. So if we also mark all of the track sections as unoccupied, So S1, S2, S3, S4 and S5 all need to be toggled twice. In the empty direction. Jetson says, do you need to restock your squads before the next Goblin caravan turns up? Yeah, possibly. This is going to be pretty arbitrary, though. Currently just going for anyone who isn't assigned to any other task. Right, so that's all of the non-amphibious ones filled. The amphibious ones, obviously, we have to find people who can swim. And like that's a lot of faff, and I'm not doing it now. So you can see that S1 and S4 have been successfully emptied. Right, so all of the track sections have now been marked as unoccupied. So what I want to check, okay, the total power needed there is only apparently 31, even though all, oh no, not all the gear assemblies are active. That's 31, but hang on, what? Why is the S... Oh, because, no, we want to mark all of the track sections as filled in order to turn on everything in there. We don't actually care about all of them, but we do want to turn on S4 and N4 and S2 and N2. Yeah, sorry. S4 and N4 and S2 and N2. Right. Yes, so we don't seem to be filing all these convenient bits of Goblin Corpse in the Dead Goblins section. Should we try changing that into a Goblin Corpse, or adding Goblin Corpses to the stockpile? So I can never quite remember what constitutes a body part and what constitutes a corpse. And see if that helps. It's not a very sensible place to put them, but... sorry. trying to get some tombs set up. Right, so now we find that this section here has a power requirement very slightly more than it has available. Now that we've activated everything connected to that windmill, and similarly that one. So I think the simplest thing is just going to be to build an extra windmill next to each one. Like, windmills are cheap. Meanwhile, we want to put in an axle there to finish hooking that up properly. Right, so now that we've tested that and proved that it's oh good, I'd forgotten that we had a all right, good, we're now filing goblin corpses in the correct place, and which is convenient because it means I can easily identify which bits are goblin bits and which bits are other creature bits. Unfortunately, this does mean that my entire fortress is now moving parts of goblin around. But like, that's probably for the best, isn't it? But then, since we know that they're bits of goblin, we can then mark them for dumping if they're not interesting bits of goblin. Which basically means anything other than a head. Possibly we should just have tried trading dead goblins to the elves. Somehow I think that wouldn't have worked. I think this isn't actually the right place for me to have put this goblin stockpile. It's notable how many spare goblin limbs there are lying around. Like, that does rather suggest we were quite efficient at removing them. Right, so this lever should now be hooked up to 4 gear assemblies. It doesn't appear to be hooked up to 4 gear assemblies. It has the mechanism it's made from 1, 2, 3, 4 siltstone mechanisms. So I think it may well be connected up to 4 gear assemblies. Let's just check the 4 gear assemblies in question. Each have an additional mechanism. And I suppose I can check that they appear to be linked to a lever. Yes, so I think now we can activate that lever once. So who is our new king anyway? What does he like? Duke is apparently a bit pissed off about the mandate situation. Anyway, king. Figurines, and that's about it really. Well, that's nice. We could only have a mayor who didn't like bins. Life would be a lot simpler. Right, the lever has been pulled. So now all of those gears should be disengaged. Yes, good. So now we can demolish that lever. Right, so we now have what is probably... Thank you, you've made a maple bracelet. We also have a bunch of rotting, probably beaked off parts here. Which are too small to be butchered. So we should get rid of them. It occurs to me that, of course, a bunch of stuff is going to be being hauled out of the drainage systems, isn't it? Some of which probably have locked doors that we need to unlock. It looks like they're all unlocked. Let's have a look at this maple bracelet then. This is a maple bracelet. All craft dwarfship is of the highest quality. It is encrusted with round hematite cabochons, decorated with rope reed and encircled with bands of maple and rectangular native gold cabochons. This object menaces with spikes of draltha leather. On the item is an image of Bomrek Slapatik the dwarf and bins. In Wagonwood, Bomrek Slapatik is surrounded by the bins. On the item is an image of Vabok Laberjeld the dwarf and dwarves in Markazite. Vabok Laberjeld is surrounded by the dwarves. The artwork relates to the ascension of the dwarf Vabok Laberjeld to the position of king of the Yorbs of yore in 1. On the item is an image of an acacia in petrified wood. On the item is an image of a skunk man in alpaca wool. So there. We have stored it in a bin. So we have means of sorting out 4 of the 5 track sections. I think it's commemorating the person who banned the export of bins, who is the mayor, I think. No, the Duke, Bomrek Slapatik, yes, which is an excellent name. Or Sezukendok. So we have 1 track section on each loop now that is not that is still too short. Also, we have far too many mechanisms. Excellent. Which is the one that passes through the end of the through the track stop at the end of each route. And that one I have a plan for, but I am thinking it's midnight. So my plan for it, maybe we can do it fairly quickly actually, is to use minecart based flip-flops, because those don't have such bad behaviour when you trigger both of their inputs at once. And the reason for that, why I want to do that, is simply that it's going to be a right pain to fit in working approach control here. So that means that I'm going to want to disconnect. Yeah, it's going to be too much faff, isn't it? We won't do it today. I'm going to want to disconnect various bits from two of the fluid flip-flops and connect them instead to minecart based flip-flops and build the minecart based flip-flops in the first place. So that's going to be fairly faffy, and we won't try to do it tonight. Instead, I will mark yet more goblin corpses for dumping. So yes, we'll do that on Sunday. and then we can refill the the swimming training, and hopefully it will be able to train dwarves even more efficiently than the current one by virtue of keeping more of them in the water for longer. That's the theory anyway. Whether it will work or not is less clear. We are slowly trying to dispose of bits of beak dog as well. In addition to all the bits of goblin, though now our goblin stockpile is mostly full of teeth. I think I should probably put the goblin stockpile somewhere different. It wants to be fairly close to the entrance to the fortress so that it's easy to take the goblin bits down and throw them away. But also far enough away not to be inconvenient. Anyway, that will be it for tonight, and we'll come back on Sunday to finish the dealing with the short block problem, and then hopefully we'll be able to try this out and discover whether it works now. So until then, let us save wherever we currently are and say good night.